I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars. He's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank. Big
BigTank Talk.
Tank.
BigTank Talk.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of BigTank Talk. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing to you one of my favorite people on Clapper. This is TikiTalks, but you'll hear me refer to him as Captain Joe. So, Captain Joe, welcome to BigTank Talk.
Well, thanks, Tank. Thanks for having me.
Okay, first and foremost, I always ask the same first question. That is, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be on Clapper.
Well, I am a 50-something still single guy who moved to Florida from Maine about 4 years ago. I have 3 children from 2 marriages. I've been in business with myself I just celebrated my 30th year in business in February. I do consulting, business consulting. I write business plans. I develop digital media strategies, websites, social media. That's what I do for a living. And I'm currently writing a book, and I'm working on 2 business plans for myself. So, and
That's
about
awesome.
4 years ago, yeah, I was saying earlier, just to wrap up your question, I think it was one of the very first TikTok ban rumors. I came back over to Clapper. I came on Clapper when it first launched. I didn't do anything with it. Came back when the buzz for TikTok started, and really haven't looked back. I do all my publishing over here. I do all my creativity over here, just because I wanted to learn short format video, how to build community, how to engage, and how to edit video. And I've done all that over here in Clapper, and I friggin' love it. And I love everybody I interact with on a regular basis. And I'm just looking for genuine connection, frankly, and no drama.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. No drama. Hello, Karen and JC. Good to see you guys come in. Do you use an editing app when you're making your content?
Every single video, I use CapCut, beginning to end, full stop. I tried using the Clapper tools. I used to go back and use the TikTok tools, but it limits my creativity on exactly how I want to tell my stories, because that's frankly what I do mostly, is tell stories, take people on journeys, that kind of thing. And CapCut's just a super great. It's perfect. It does everything I need.
Oh, I have to agree. I've been on CapCut for a little while now, and I really like it. Eventually, I'll learn actually how to use it. My content will be better.
There you go.
There's a lot of things I want to ask you about, but first and foremost, you had a sign up, and I saw it in one of your videos. It says Joe's Tiki Bar.
Yes.
So I kind of like to know how that all came about.
Oh goodness. Well, it's been a long dream. It's been a long time coming. It's just been a dream I've had for a long time. I always knew I wanted to move to a tropical climate, and I just really enjoy the tiki culture. I spent my life visiting Florida. I love the Caribbean. I love white sand beaches, tiki bars, turquoise waters, palm trees. I mean, just the whole vibe, the whole Jimmy Buffett sort of thing. Life can get so friggin' hectic over the years, and it gets to a point where you're just looking for some kind of escape. And for me, it's the ocean and the simplicity of the beach and the sound of the waves. So tiki culture is just inside of me. And so I created my own tiki lounge. I'm trying to anyway, as you guys have been watching. And that's just my little piece of paradise that I can escape to after work every day. And it's my solace when I...
Ooh. Are you back? You froze for a little bit. Okay.
I did.
Paul asked Tom, is Tom Cruise your barman?
That was a great movie,
Now,
though. Cocktails.
yeah, it was. My next question, what is your adult beverage of choice?
Bourbon, full stop. Let me tell you
Have you
why.
ever heard of?
Can
Okay,
I
go
tell you
ahead.
why? Because I get asked
Absolutely.
a lot. It, I'm not a heavy drinker. In fact, I go periods of time where I don't drink at all. And when I drank previously, it was usually microbrews, and I found those got heavy after a while. And so I haven't had a beer in years. And then I was drinking cocktails, and now you're dealing with mixes and tonics and that kind of thing. And that was all fine and good for a while, but it got old and heavy again. And I'm like, I just need the simplicity of a whiskey. And once you make that switch, I mean, you go from drinking glasses of cocktails or beers like this to sipping on a little bit of bourbon that looks like this, where it's easier to sort of measure yourself. And, so I use it more for medicinal purposes.
Of course.
There you go.
Okay. What? Uh, Paul asked, what influenced your Clapper name?
TikiTalks is my Clapper name. It's because of the tiki culture, and I love to talk. And at one point, I thought about maybe creating a podcast called Tiki Talks. And the other thing that I didn't think of at the time is it's actually a nice play on words with this whole Tank. I think it's your connection, because I keep seeing the three dots on your screen on your little square.
Oh, I don't, yeah, it's probably Clapper because I've got a strong internet connection here. So, but
Yeah, I do
I've
too.
had
I got
these.
all
I've
my
seen these issues
bars.
the last couple of years.
Yeah, my
Tina
Wi-Fi.
wants to know what's your favorite ice cream flavor.
Fuck Tina. I'm kidding, Tina. Well, I mean, friggin' ice cream. So number one, let me start by saying I'd never buy ice cream ever. I don't eat ice cream. It's a very rare occasion because I love it so much. I'm a chocoholic, so I love chocolate ice cream. If the Ben and Jerry's New York Super Fudge Chunk or brownie fudge brownie ice cream. But if I had to really nail it, I don't know, a pecan or an almond or a vanilla. I love. So there you go.
Certainly reasonable to me. Let me ask you this: you said you moved from Maine to Florida, and that you love the life that you live in Florida. Um, what led you to that? Because Maine is quite different than Florida.
Yeah, the cold. I find cold painful. It had nothing to do with the snow. It had everything to do with the cold. And like I said, I spent my whole life coming to Florida, vacationing in Florida, so I knew Florida well. And absolutely, every time I come to Florida, I never want to leave. So that was the plan. So when I was gonna wait till I retired, but then fucking COVID hit, and
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Why am I waiting? I had no reason to wait, so I sold everything I owned, bought a house in Florida, and here I am.
So Ronan says he just saw your new boat video. What kind is it? How big? And what motor do you have?
Well, first of all, I've had that boat for 24 years, Ronan. That's the boat I had in Maine for 23 years, and now 2001 Sea Ray Sundancer. It's a cabin cruiser. It's got a full bathroom and shower and kitchen, a forward berth, a rear cabin, so it sleeps four. It has a 350 max. I used to have a 305 Merc Cruiser 305, and it was a great motor. I had it for I've had this new motor for 4 years, so I had it for 20 years, and then a couple of cylinders went, so I replaced the motor and put in a 350 max. That is just awesome. It's way faster.
So Rockin' Horse, who is Karen, asked what part of Florida you're in.
I settled in Fort Myers. That's where I live. I was targeting the Cape Coral, Fort Myers stretch of coastline because for me it was all about beaches and boating and, you know, that tiki culture I'm looking for. So that's where I am.
Now, probably not an uncommon question for somebody who lives in Florida. Are you in a part of Florida that gets hit often by hurricanes?
Well, so we've had 4 hurricanes in the last 4 years. Interestingly, though, this particular stretch hadn't had a serious hurricane in 20 plus years prior to this series that we've had. But I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just par for the course down here. If a hurricane's coming, you get out of the way and then you deal with the aftermath. And, you know, for me, quality of life is more important. And I can easily get out of the way of a hurricane because they give you plenty of notice.
So when there's a hurricane coming, do you take your boat, just vacate the area until it passes?
Well, I'm going to be figuring that out. If you brought back far enough in my videos, you'll see when I had it shipped down here. So previous to my boat getting here, I would get out of the way. I would just load up my truck with my most valuable treasures, and I would go stay somewhere out of the path of the hurricane. So yes, if a new hurricane comes, I will be hooking it up to my truck and taking it with me.
Absolutely makes sense to me. Lots of fascinating questions coming from Tina. She wants to know first, what shampoo do you use?
None of your business.
Then she wants to know what's the worst date you've ever been on.
I don't have bad dates. Sometimes the date does if I don't ask for a second one.
Well, that certainly seems reasonable. One of my questions was tell us about your boat, and you've pretty much done that. How big is, I don't know if you said, how big is your boat?
It's 26 feet.
Well, that's not bad. That's a good size. Another question that I got straight out of your content as I was browsing through. I want to hear the Captain Joe take on the Mayo War.
On the Mayo War?
Yeah.
Hellman's real Mayo. Thank you.
Well, I agree with that. I'm definitely a mayonnaise, not Miracle Whip person.
No, definitely not Miracle Whip. Yuck. And crunchy.
Another
Team Crunchy. I love creamy peanut butter, but I like Team Crunchy better.
You know, the only issue I have with crunchy peanut butter is I have no upper teeth, and it makes it difficult to chew.
That would definitely make it difficult.
Yeah, it's actually painful. So, also something I got out of your content, which I like. I am a fan of Spam. So, what is your favorite way to eat Spam?
Oh my God! Every single way. Although I love it fried. Sliced.
I do too. Right.
With eggs.
Welcome in, Leah. It's good to see you. And Shell, I saw when you came in earlier. If you're still here. Appreciate you guys coming in. And don't forget, if you have questions like Tina's, who is his celebrity crush, just type it in. So who's your celebrity crush?
Well, it used to be Jennifer Aniston, but not anymore. Now I don't have one. Wait. Anya Taylor-Joy.
I don't even know who that is. Where would I know her from?
Queen's Gambit. You familiar?
Apparently, I don't watch enough. No, I apparently don't watch enough TV.
It's an 8-part miniseries on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's called The Queen's Gambit.
I will check it out because I do have Netflix, so I can.
Make it a priority.
I'm not going to ask a lot of probing questions about family and stuff, but you say you have kids from 2 marriages?
Correct.
Are your kids grown?
32, 30, and 22. I have two
That's
daughters
cool.
from my first and a son from my second. My
Do any of them
eldest,
live near you? So you get to
no,
see you get to see your kids very often?
they all live in Maine. They can come visit whenever they want. My youngest daughter was here just a few days ago. She was down vacationing for a week. And we went to Sanibel Island and went out to dinner and caught some live music, and they golfed every day. And so my kids can come see me whenever they want.
So let me take a couple of minutes here and ask you a couple of Clapper directly related questions. Number one, who are your favorite Clapper creators?
Ooh, I have so many. There's so many good people on here, and I really resonate with the people who engage with me frequently, who are genuine, carry on uh, conversations and dialogue and direct message and join lives. And it really says a lot about a person's character when they actually show up for a relationship, because one of my greatest, I don't know, convictions is that you're if you're going to have a relationship, then both parties need to invest in that relationship equally. If you have one
Absolutely.
party that's only investing and they keep trying, and they're the one that texts and they're the one that calls and they're the one that is constantly trying to move the relationship along, I mean, it's not a very good relationship. So I really appreciate the people who actually show up and engage. And I'm not going to name names. There's way too many, Tank. And frankly, you're on that list. So there you go.
Oh, you're on my list. You're on the list of my favorite Clapper creators too, Captain Joe.
Thanks.
That's among the
Appreciate
reasons.
that.
That's among the reasons why I invited you to be on my to be interviewed by me today.
I mean, if you put me on the spot, I'd have to say Tina, but
Tina, there's several of my favorite Clapper creators are in this live right now, including Tina. Is there anybody you could say was an inspiration for you since you've been on Clapper?
you mean somebody from Clapper who's an inspiration?
Yes.
Yeah, and I can say many people. It's interesting what really kind of motivates my thinking about people. And you heard me say in the last question, showing up, being present, engaging. So,
Right.
again, I'm not going to name names. There have been many people who have influenced me. I pick up tips and tricks and ideas, and I question myself, when I learn things through other people and how they approach relationships. And so I could say quite a few. I laugh at many, many, many creators on here. I cry with many creators on here. I'm really fascinated by the talent that's brought to bear by many creators on here, whether it's just a matter of how they produce a video or whether or not they're an artist or a painter or a musician or what have you. It doesn't matter to me. It's what are they doing with it? How is it affecting me in my life? I mean, I think my greatest concern, I shouldn't say concern, it's because it's none of my fucking business, frankly, is that I think a lot of people really underestimate themselves. And I wish I could see more. I don't know what it is. I don't want to say, I'm not going to say, I'm just saying that people really underestimate who they are as a person on here, not necessarily their talent or whatever, but
I'll say it this way, and maybe you'll agree with it. I would love that. I would love it if some of the people that I know on here saw themselves the way I see them.
right, exactly. Yeah. I'm an
Because I
action
agree with you.
person.
There's a lot of really amazing people that I've met through Clapper. And again, several of those people are in this live right now. And it's a blessing to me to know so many amazing people. And I'm like everybody else. I question myself, and there are days when I wonder what the hell am I doing on here. But
I think
then
we
I
could
have
all
days
say
like
that
this.
from time to time. I mean, it's been a ghost
Then,
town lately, and it's
then
really
I have
hard
days,
to show up when no one else is.
right? But then I have my interview days, and the interviews are generally I really enjoy them a lot.
Well,
And
listen, Tank, let me tell you something. the fact that you take the initiative to do these things, I mean, it's not just content. It says who you are. I mean, I'm all about action. What the fuck are you doing right now? I'm tired of listening to everybody bitch and complain and moan and groan and moan. They just go on and on. It's like, will you fucking do something? And you
Right.
doing this sort of interview on this platform or any other platform, the fact that you take the initiative and then you fucking follow through and you do it, and pardon my French, everybody, but that's the difference.
I appreciate that, brother. Now, you mentioned it when you were telling us about you at the opening of this. So I really would love to hear you talk a little bit about your book.
Oh, my book. Yikes.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about it, and I love the idea of it.
I'm really worried about my book. Let me tell you what I'm worried about first. I'm worried about how I'm going to respond to a certain percentage of the audience and how they respond, or in how they respond to it, right? Because the nature of the book has some controversy to it. So there'll be people who I will absolutely resonate with and will welcome their feedback and with open arms and appreciate it. And there will certainly be an aspect of the audience that will be not so nice. And that's what I worry about, is how will I handle that? I don't know if I even have to handle it. I know I'm way ahead of myself even thinking about it, but just understand that it's a controversial subject. I don't know how much you have heard or anyone else about my book, but it's called Near Life. And so that's a play on terminology. If you think about it, there's always been this sort of near death. People have written about near-death experiences, and you've seen probably movies and read books or whatever. And so the name of my book is called Near Life. And the reason it's called Near Life is because it chronicles, from a first-person perspective, a journey that I took. So this is my own journey, and in great detail, about my time in the womb and my journey through birth. And the book ends at the end of the first hour after I've been born. My mom was involved in a car accident. I'll give it to you real quick. She was 7 months pregnant with me, and when she was involved in that accident, I woke up and I became conscious. And so this story chronicles my time in the womb from when she was 7 months pregnant with me. So frankly, basically the last 2 months of her pregnancy, through birth, into life. And I end the book at the end of the first hour of my life.
I got to tell you, it sounds really fascinating to me, and that is a book that will end up in my collection at some point once you've got it out and in circulation.
It's called Near Life: Memories from the Womb, a story of life before birth.
Welcome in, Wheels. Welcome in, Mel. It's good to see you guys. So I have to ask. I assume you're going to put to work your tools for marketing and advertising when your book comes out to make sure it gets out to as many people.
Yeah. So right now I'm in editing mode. I've got a couple of places I got to fill some. I got to create a little bit more content for chapter 9 and 10, but I'm already halfway through my final edit before it goes to actual editors. And I'm going to use my ability to market to push it out there.
That's a great ability to have. As you know, I self-published a poetry book, but I know absolutely nothing about marketing and promotion and all that stuff. So,
you can probably, but it makes all the difference.
Oh yeah. And I do intend to hit you up for some suggestions. You had already said I could, so that's anyway. Satina wants to
answer a question down in the comments. Melody, is it Melody? Please.
Melodocious.
Well, I know that, but that's not her name. If I had to guess, by the time we get through everything that needs to get got through, you're looking at the first of the coming year. So 2026, it should, if I had to guess, based on the amount of work that has to get done through editing, and I got to get the forward written, and get everything set up and through the publishing process, and actually secure a publisher. Right now I'm kind of critiquing the publishers that are available. And so if I had to guess, it'll definitely be 2026. My hope is that it would be early 2026.
Now, Tina has asked, who is your favorite famous artist?
Wow. Jesus. Some of these, whenever you say favorite, it's so hard. I mean, I appreciate so many different artists for so many different reasons. And she's not talking about artists on Clapper, right? It's not Warhol. In fact, it's far from it, Tina, although I appreciate it. I
Hey,
mean, oh
Don.
my God, Michelangelo. I mean, let's go back to the Renaissance. I mean, like Degas. I mean, how many do you want to go through? I mean, there's so many reasons, all the way up to contemporary MC Etcher. I mean, there's just so many for so many different reasons. I can go on and on and on and on. So I can't name one. Me.
I get that. Although when I got asked that question, my answer was I spit an answer out almost immediately. So
Did you? Well, you gonna share
yeah,
it?
Michelangelo,
Oh, there you go. I think he's
and
mine too.
it was Tina's question and that one too. And don't forget, guys, you guys feel free to ask questions. It doesn't have to just be Tina and Paul. But so I can't remember her name. What's it like having on here? She's now what manager? I can't remember her name, and
Carrie.
I know I should, but Carrie. How is it having Carrie?
Not here.
I don't know. What is it? How is it having Carrie as a neighbor?
Annoying. She totally caught me off guard. I throw out this invite to my Clapper friends. Hey, if you're ever in the neighborhood, pop by. I had a friend pop by the other day. He was staying in the Keys. He had to come up to Naples for something. A big fire broke out. He couldn't get back onto the Keys. So he came up to Fort Myers. We went out, had dinner, got together, did some fun things. And Carrie came down and bought a fucking house in my goddamn neighborhood. I have to keep her at arm's length.
How many of your Clapper friends have you actually met in person?
One.
Because outside of Carrie, the only one I know.
No. I take that back. Two. I met what's his name, Navy Chief, a couple months ago. He came by. He's got a beautiful RV, and I live in an RV resort, right? So we have RVs here, and he was able to get a site right near me, and yeah, it was great to see him. He's a good guy.
Well, he and I. Yeah, Navy Chief and I hit it off because we're both sailors. So, yeah, what influenced you to keep creating content?
Oh, it's not Clapper. I don't create videos for Clapper. I create videos for me because I'm trying to tell a story. And so what I mean by that is that I hope it entertains you or enlightens you or helps engage or whatever. But, I like telling stories. I do it for my clients. Clapper for me, I say I'm just a daily vlogger. That's it. It's like whatever's happening in my life, if I can make a video out of it, great. But what I'm doing is I'm teaching myself different skills on how to tell a story because that can apply in my professional life. The more I hone my skills in short format video storytelling, I don't do I don't do the traditional formats for advertising per se. But if you look at the videos I create for my clients, that's exactly what they are. And where do I get my skills to make the videos? By producing videos for you guys.
Hey, you do have some. I've went through quite a bit of your content today, and you have some pretty amazing videos. I like
Well,
the stuff you
thanks.
create. It's entertaining. It's sometimes it's informative, but sometimes like your the videos you've done where you're just walking on the beach at sunrise. I love that. I used to live in Virginia Beach, so it's a different kind of beach, but spending sunrise on any beach is a fabulous place and fabulous way to spend time.
For me, I have to unplug because I have so much going on in my brain. I would literally melt down. And so I've got to get to the beach every weekend. You know, I've been on. We didn't talk about this, so I'm going to bring it up. You guys have not seen boating videos for me for at least 12 weeks because I've been injured and I've been in recovery and kind of going through PT and kind of building my body back. My boat is a beast to handle as far as getting it in and out of the water and all of that. And so that's the reason I haven't been out. But now, and I, as you saw, I had to recently get it all registered and all of that. But I would have done that weeks ago had I not injured myself. but it's legal, so you're going to see some videos pretty soon of boating. Whether you like it or not.
Oh, I love those videos, so I'm looking forward to seeing them. So Tina and has asked, how many ladies have you taken on your boat?
Ladies. Well, this is what I'll say. I don't have a girlfriend, so I have lots of friends that are girls, and so I can tell you that many of my friends on my boat over many years. So there you go. Yes, it's a single screw, Diamond. It's a Bravo 3 outdrive connected to a 350 Max.
All right, Leah. Diamond Lou says, what happens on the boat stays on the boat.
What's that?
Diamond Lou said, what happens on the boat stays on the boat.
That's a pretty fact. I love my boat. It's great escapism and lots of adventure, and I get to explore areas that most people don't get to see. And you know, I come from a very historical place. You know, up in Maine, the coast of Maine is just spectacular, with lots of forts from many different wars over the years, and lighthouses, and just the whole down east culture. And so I'm very thankful that I've been able to go on those adventures and learn so much. And I'm looking forward to doing the same thing down here in Florida, although it's very different.
All right. Tina wants to know if you've ever had anyone fall off the boat.
Me and my daughter. My daughter, I don't know what the hell she was. So why she was on her boat? She was on our boat. It had to have been in the fall because she had a heavy coat on, but she had her backpack from school weighed down with textbooks or whatever. She goes to step off the boat onto the dock, steps onto the dock, loses her balance, falls backwards because of the weight of the backpack into the water between the boat and the dock. So I'm friggin' so quickly and pulled her out of the water so fast. So there you go. That was just a dock incident.
Diamond Lou said, did you perform a figure eight?
I don't know what that means. You mean driving the boat into a figure eight pattern? You can do that all day long.
That's the way I understand. Ronan wants to know if you've ever taken your boat to the Bahamas.
No, my boat just got down here a few months ago. My boat's been in Maine for 23 years. Now it's down here. And so new Florida boating adventures to come. I'll take you guys with me for sure.
Is there a significant difference in the rules of boating between Maine and Florida?
Not significant, but there are definitely some differences.
Okay. I was just curious. I know I know just very little about boating. I've never owned one, so all my experience in boating has been with other people in their boats. So it sounded like
it's all governed. it's all governed federally, right? So you have the Coast Guard that everybody answers to, and so we're operating under federal law when we're boating. And the only thing you run into is ordinances, enforcement. Things are enforced differently. So, like in Maine, I can have open alcohol at the helm while driving.
Right.
But Florida, it's a little different.
I can imagine.
So,
Tina wants to know if you ever had a run-in with pirates.
oh my God, yes. Jesus Christ, pirates are the worst. They drink all your booze. Sorry, I can't.
And Ronan wants to know if your boat holds enough fuel to get you to the Bahamas if you was to want to go there.
I believe it does, yes. I could easily take my boat to the Bahamas. I might even have enough to get back, but I would definitely top it off.
That's a good thing to know, though.
Yes, I have. It's a nine. It's what is it? Not 70 miles, I think. It's just the journey, 70 miles. So I got a 70-gallon tank, and so I'm pretty sure I'd make it over there.
Oh yeah. Tina says, "Have you ever had a shark attack?"
No, Tina. But let me tell you a story, okay? So in Maine, where I'm from, and where I've done all my boating, I'm in a big marina, and there's lots of fishing tournaments, and there's tuna tournaments, and shark tournaments. And so I was talking to a couple of years ago, talking to a friends of mine. They go out shark fishing all the time, and I was like, "How was the shark fishing this weekend?" He was like, "I was pretty good. I pulled out 29 shark."
Wow.
That's just one little trip. 29 shark, one boat.
Damn.
So there you go.
Okay, here's a question that's absolutely nothing to do with boating. Who does your hair?
I I just have a scissors 15 I just have a woman who with 15 years experience with scissors. And prior to that, I had a hairstylist for 20 years. I'm a scissors guy. You got to stay away from the down here in Florida, everybody wears their hair short, so the hairstylists use those clippers, they buzz everybody, right? And I'm like, "No, I
Right.
got to have scissors because it's just I have easy hair."
Hey, J Dubs, how you
What the
doing?
fuck what the fuck's my hair have to do with anything? Who brought that up? Who asked that question?
I did.
Oh, you did. What do you want to know about my hair?
Because I don't have that issue.
Okay.
You're,
Cheers.
you're not quite as old as me, but you still have a fabulous head of hair, so I thought I'd ask.
Right behind you, Jay.
Just
I wear my age well.
yeah, I'll be 62 next month, Captain Joe. And then I'm officially retired at that point. I went ahead and filed for early retirement since I haven't worked in many years anyway.
I'm pre-retirement. I'm working on it. I'm trying to make that transition.
Well, if this book takes off, then maybe you can just use the book to help ease you out of having to work all the time.
Yeah, you don't make money writing books, I don't think.
Well, you can if it takes off. I'll say that.
Okay, well, hope so.
He may have missed this. Jason Essex Crafts wants to know what your day job is for Bills.
A recurring revenue model built into their contract with me. So basically, I don't have to do anything and I still get paid, but I do projects. And so that's sort of, so I do business consulting, I write business plans, I help with capital investment into companies. I do lots of startup consulting. I sit on a couple of boards. So I'm writing digital, marketing strategies. I manage about 20 plus clients, social media campaigns. and I build kick-ass websites. So that's kind of what I do day to day.
You're a man of many talents, Captain Joe. Paul wants to know if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self? I like that question.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's actually a really easy answer. Um, it would be literally to stop partying and get serious. Had I gotten serious sooner, I'd be retired by now. I mean, I could retire now, but I want to do it right, and I don't want to worry, and I don't want to have to go backwards at any point. I want to be able to enjoy what I do right now. My life is things. Here's two things. If
Welcome
you
in,
took
Lena.
nothing else away from this interview tonight, there are two things that really made a huge difference in my life. One was simplicity, learning what that actually means and then applying it, taking the action to apply it to your life today. Anything that is a distraction in your life, you should purge out of your life. That includes stuff. So that was number one, simplicity. Number two was just taking action. I mean, it's literally the difference between thinking about something and then actually doing it. So whatever it is, if you're thinking about it, put together an action plan and fucking do it. I thought about things way too goddamn long. Way too long.
That sounds easy, but for some people, I'm sure it's not.
And all right, so add this to it. Add this to it, Tank.
Okay.
One small thing every day. That's it. One thing heading in the direction you're trying to go. One fucking thing.
That makes sense to me. Diamond Lou wants to know if you have a captain's license, and if you do, what rating?
No, I absolutely do not by choice. I am a pleasure boater. I don't fish. I don't do charters. I don't do corporate. I am just a pleasure boater, and I've been a pleasure boater my entire life, and I've owned my own boat for a quarter of a century. So there you go. Did you know that if you get pulled over and get a DUI on land, you lose your captain's license? And did you know if you get bagged drinking as a captain on the water, you lose your friggin' driver's license on land too?
I did not know that.
Just by having a captain's license.
J Dubs posted if you want.
on my boat.
J Dubs posted if you want to sell books, go over to podmatch.com and sign up as a guest. He said it's like a speed dating site for podcast hosts and guests. Just passing that along because he posted
John, what's happening? That was a good video you did, Dubs. I commented. I'm not ready yet, but thank you. Maybe I'll circle back and ask you some questions. I've got, who I've been picking the brain of is Grace, and why is she not here? Somebody needs to go get Grace.
That's a big
anyway. So there's 2 or 3 or 4 writers on here, maybe more, and I've gotten some insight from them. And I got to tell you, when I get to pick the brain of another author, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Oh my God, because I had so many questions heading into this new sort of thing. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Captain Joe, I still struggle with calling myself an author because I self-published the book I have.
Yeah.
Now I've been told by
you're an author.
I've been told by Grace and others that makes me an author. It's something I still struggle with that. I don't know why, but I do.
It's not a badge of honor. It's just
now. See, I have no problem calling myself a poet because the book I wrote is a poetry book. I've written more than 60 poems.
Frank,
don't know.
Tank, I don't think it matters.
It's just a mental thing for me. I don't really worry a lot about it anymore. So I missed the question back when, and I'm sure it was kind of a silly question for Tina. She asks, "Is Captain Ron Batman?" I don't understand the question.
Is anybody talking to Tina? Captain Ron is Batman. There you go. You feel better?
Thank you, Lena. I sure appreciate you.
Oh, Lena.
Captain
Hey,
Batman.
Lena, happy birthday. I missed your birthday, but I saw everybody wishing you happy birthday. Nobody asked me to collaborate on videos, so happy birthday to you, Captain Batman.
Now the question makes more sense, Tina. Thank you. She said she calls you Captain Ron.
Oh, I know. Definitely know. I feel like Kurt Russell.
That's what was confusing me about that because I know who Captain Ron is.
Right.
Helpful, welcome, your brother.
We had a whole fallout. There was a big misunderstanding. Tina was right. I was wrong. I forgot. I had Captain Ron confused with the movie Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I forgot that Captain Ron was a completely different movie. She was right. I can't tell you how right Tina was. She was so right. I mean, she was more right than I've ever been.
So, Captain Joe, Paul wants to know what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened while you've been out on your boat. He says out at sea. I'll just say out on your boat.
Oh my God. Well,
Hey, Grace.
Grace
Thank
is
you,
here. We were
Lena.
just talking about you. All right, let me answer that question because it's not good. Let me tell you the most magical time I've had. It would be, I'd get up. It was this one day. It was a beautiful day. It was so early. It was like, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun was just coming up over the ocean. It was dead calm. There was no wind. The seas were flat. I went way out into the middle of the goddamn ocean, like way out past where I never go, because it was so calm. And I killed the engine and I had breakfast with me and I was eating breakfast and I had my feet up and it was just me and the sun was beaming and it was, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. I mean, it was just magical just being there, and I got surrounded by fucking whales and dolphins at the same time. It was friggin' amazing. Nobody else was around. There's friggin' whales feeding and dolphins. And they were coming up in big pods. And I was like, wow. It was just, I melted. I enjoyed the whole thing. That was back before these cell phone things with cameras. So, you know, I'll never forget that. But here, I'm gonna confess something just to answer that question. It's a Friday night, and this was my thing for a long time. Friday night, who can
Lena,
get
he
to the
knows
boat?
Grace is here.
Who can get to the boat the fastest after work? Everybody's working. We all rush to the marina. We all rush down to the docks. We jump on my boat. We take off. We got other friends on their boat. It's a Friday night and it's boys' night. It's just a bunch of guys on a couple of 3 boats, and we're just going to take off, go out into the islands. We're going to drop our anchors or grab a mooring. We're going to drink. We're going to watch the sunset go down. That's the plan. We're going someplace new. We get out there. I cut around this corner of this island. There's another island. I see the channel markers, but I'm cruising along at 25, 30 miles an hour. I take the corner way too wide and I hit ledge at 25 miles an hour. My boat comes to a halt. I destroy my outdrive, cripple my boat. So we spent the rest of the night with my friends on their boat towing me back to the fucking marina.
Oh, wow.
Destroyed my propeller, and my outdrive was destroyed.
Thank you,
Oops.
Lena.
Was that a fun story?
Probably not as fun for you as it was for us hearing about it, though.
It was very expensive.
Yeah, that's a pretty high speed to hit something that brings you to a sudden stop.
Oh yeah, it came to. I was really lucky; it didn't hurt the hull of the boat. It was just the outdrive. It was because the ledge was under the water. I couldn't see it, obviously. That was before I had my GPS.
So, Grace, Captain Joe did ask where you were. That's why Lena went and got you, and we appreciate you being here.
Lena, are you still here? You did. You went and got Grace. Well, thank you for that. It's good to see you both.
And then
Hey, Tank,
Ronan
I
wants
have
to
a
know if you've
question
ever.
for you.
Yes, sir. Okay,
How am I doing?
you're doing great.
How's your
You're an
interview?
awesome interview guy.
Oh, good.
Uh,
I was all
well,
worried.
here, let me explain why, though. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I even wore a collar.
First of all, you have I love your laugh, and you got a great sense of humor, but you don't just answer the questions like one or two words and you're done. You answer questions, and if a story can be related with it, you do that. And that, as a person that interviews people, I love that. That's a great way to answer questions, and it makes for a very interesting interview and something that it's gonna be great on my YouTube channel as well.
Ah, I'm very happy to hear that. Can I answer Ronan's question?
Yes.
Are you are you in a hurry to go, or do you have to wrap this up? But you didn't tell me how
No,
long it
we're good.
lasted.
Well,
I
typically
don't.
an hour, but if we're doing well, just you got questions, keep going. So
Well,
go ahead and
don't let
answer
me keep
Ronan's question.
you and shut me down whenever you want, because I like to talk.
Ronan
But
says, "Did you ever see a UFO or USO?"
so I'm going to answer it this way. Back in Maine, the there's not a lot of light. The towns and the cities, even the biggest city in the state, is very small comparatively speaking. So we don't get a lot of light pollution, right? And so when you're on your boat and you're out on the ocean away from any city or town, the stars are just mind-boggling. The planets, the whole thing. And I'm an astronomy buff. I love astronomy. I love astrology. I know all of that. I study astroarchaeology. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about all of that. But to answer your question about UFOs and UAV, whatever they're calling them nowadays, UAVs or whatever, the answer is no. Not once, not ever. But from a boater's perspective, who has a habit of hanging out in the ocean, away from all that light pollution, for hours on end, overnight, for weekends, where you lay out on the boat and you're just looking up at the sky, taking in all the stars and planets and celestial events and meteor showers and all of that. There were a couple of things that really grabbed me. One was counting satellites. It wouldn't be uncommon for us to be out there partying late into the night. And one of our hobbies or one of our games or whatever you want to call it was counting satellites. Literally, you can look up and see them coming across the sky, and we would count satellites for fun. So that's one thing. Something else, planet alignments and planets are just spectacular in and of themselves. But I learned something that I'm just going to share as a story that I think you guys might enjoy. It's something I learned a long time ago. I've been able to witness it twice with my own eyes, and it's literally the rotation of the Earth. And so here's the story. I'm a couple of miles offshore. I'm on a mooring on an island, and I'm facing west, and I can see the shoreline of the mainland way off in the distance. And when you're looking way off in the distance, the shoreline is like a quarter of an inch, right? And then you can see all the street lights when it's late at night that are on the shoreline, right? And lights to houses and other things. And you'd be looking at the sky and taking in the celestial bodies and the planets. And what I discovered, this just blew my mind, is that in the summertime up in Maine, late summer, you could watch Jupiter, Venus. Actually, it'd be Venus for Mercury first, then Venus, then Jupiter would set on the horizon, the distant horizon. So if you're out overnight, for example, and you're just taking in the stars and watching the planets, eventually they're moving across the sky, right? And then they go out of sight over the horizon. Well, what I learned was that in late August, you can literally watch Mercury, then Venus, and then Jupiter. If you're up all night, you can watch them disappear over the horizon. Well, what's interesting is those bright stars or planets, when they're disappearing over the horizon, and you're looking at the horizon from offshore over the water, and you see the street light, you can see the street lights moving past the planet, and that's literally witnessing the rotation of the Earth. There you go. I don't know if any.
So, Captain Bill, I've gotten behind. I've gotten behind on questions here. Grace wants to know. She said you obviously don't check your DMs. Why?
I check my DMs every day, multiple times a day.
Just read it as it's posted, brother.
Well, I think she just heard that.
Lena wants to know, what's the hardest struggle you've had?
Oh my God, Lena.
And Karen, if I missed your question, please retype it, because I haven't looked and I couldn't see it.
I don't think I can answer Lena's question.
Okay. And then Diamond Lou has asked how far into the Gulf you've been or into international water.
Well, back in Maine, I've been as far as 25 miles offshore. In Florida, I haven't been out far because my boat just got here 6 months ago, and I just haven't been out. So, Lena, I don't mean to not answer your question. It's just a really, really emotional question that I'm not sure is appropriate for tonight. So, it's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's that it would be really too deep, and we're probably over time, and I don't want to take over Tank's interview. So, but thank you for that.
Well, just remember that you are the subject of the interview, not me. So, no problem there.
It has to do with my two daughters being kidnapped, a national manhunt, and DNA testing, and so I don't know how deep we want to go tonight.
I don't know that there's enough time to really get into that. That's you'd write a book about that probably.
Well, it's a made for TV movie for sure.
I wanted to say, by the way, Captain Joe, you described seeing the sky when you're out away from the city and stuff when you're on the water. As you know, I was a Navy sailor, and my first ship, I crossed the Atlantic from Norfolk, Virginia to Italy. And there is nothing more beautiful. Now, my ship was 555 feet long, not 26. I would go out on the fantail at night and just lay back in the fantail and just look at the sky, on a clear night. There's so many stars, and it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful sight. Yeah, so I can absolutely.
I'm just the biggest astronomy buff you've ever met. And I'm especially into astroarchaeology. So, as above, so below. That's a different story. But as astronomy influenced culture here on Earth, and how the architecture just sort of aligns with the celestial bodies and why, and that's my freaking thing. I friggin' love it.
And then Rockin' Horse 13, which is Karen, says Montana skies are beautiful like that too. I know Montana's a beautiful state. I've only driven through it. I haven't stayed there or anything, but just driving through it is beautiful. I do want to take a minute now.
Let me answer Diamond here because I just saw it come up. If you want to talk about the pyramids sometime, I would love to talk to you about the pyramids. I know what's going on with the latest revelations. We'll see where that goes. I don't discount it. I don't doubt it. I'm convinced we're going to learn more. But here's something that's a fact that a lot of people don't know about the Giza Plateau. But the Giza Plateau is actually a celestial clock. And it measures many things, but one of the things that it measures is called the Great Year. And so here's something that you may not know. The Sphinx is actually a pointer. It's not unlike a point on a clock. And so if you know what the Sphinx is, it's half Leo and half Aquarius, right? The head is the Aquarian, the body is Leo, and the heart of Leo, the chest of Leo, has a big lump sticking out of it. And it's aimed at a certain point in the sky toward the east, where all of the celestial bodies, all the stars, all the planets, the sun, the moon, everything rises in the east, right? So the heart is pointing directly at the east, but it marks a certain point in time. It points to Regulus, which is a star in the Leo constellation, which is the chest of the star of Leo, the Leo constellation. And it takes 28,600 years to make one single rotation to come back to the same point where that star from the Leo constellation starts, and that measures something called the Great Year.
Cool.
Time between our sun and its sister sun in its rotation or circumference of each other, not circumference, but in its anyway, I don't want to go too deep. There you go.
If I
Anybody
could,
follow
Joe,
that?
I want to take a. If I could, I'd like to take a minute and let everyone know that my scheduled guest for next week now goes by NHL PhD. We all know him as Tim Lazenby, official.
Is he
He
still here?
is my guest. Yeah, he's
No,
kind of breaking away from Clapper a bit, but he is still on Clapper, and he has said he'll be here for my interview next week. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then
well, I'm going to
Grace asked a question, and I'm going to make it the last question of this interview, Joe, if you don't mind.
Okay.
She is asking, have you moved forward with the book you're thinking of publish? I know you touched on it earlier, but she just got here late.
Yeah, I'm still deep in the process, Grace. As I mentioned earlier, I have to come up with a little bit more content for chapters 9 and 10. I'm halfway through the full editing of my editing. Once I finish up my editing and the additional content for 9 and 10, it's going to go to editing, full on editing. So that's where I'm at. There you go. Oh, and by the way, before you end your live, Tank, a couple of things. One, totally appreciate you. Really appreciate you being here, what you're doing, how you do what you do. I just look forward to your content. I always try to interact with it when I'm here. And then secondly, I want to thank you for this interview. It was great to get to chat with you and answer some of your questions and others. I adore all of you. I really, really do. Tina, too. Sorry.
Joe,
Anyway,
I got to
just
tell
wanted to
you,
say thanks, and to anybody who is here after Tank's live, I'm going out to my tiki and I'm going to go live. So, if anybody has
Joe,
any more questions?
I want to tell you, you have been a fabulous guest for BigTank Talk, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I appreciate the insightful answers, and you have a great sense of humor about you as well, which helps because some of the questions aren't always in total seriousness when they come through. But you always take it well. And I have to tell you, because I don't own a boat, but I live vicariously through the videos that I see that you do.
Thank you, but you just reminded me. I want to extend an invitation to every single one of you here tonight that if you're ever in Southwest Florida, don't be afraid to ping me. If my boat's in the water, we'll go for a cruise. If it's not, we'll hit a tiki bar. We'll go to the beach. We'll collect seashells. Don't be afraid to say hello.
And I want to make one recommendation for you since you're a bourbon man, because you may not have heard of it. It's a thing called brown sugar bourbon. It's BSB and 103 proof, so it's BSB 103.
Wow. Holy shit. I think
Absolutely.
hair just grew on my chest hearing you say that.
It is a remarkable drink. I have gifted it to a few friends. It's really awesome.
Say it again.
BSB 103.
BSB?
Yeah.
Sounds
BSB
like a warning label.
It stands for brown sugar bourbon.
Is it sweet?
Yeah.
BSB what? BSB what? Say it again. I'm writing it down.
Well, there's a standard strength, and it's just BSB, but I like the stronger one. It's BSB 103.
Are you okay, Tank?
I'm great.
I mean, 103 is, that says a lot.
It's just a little stronger.
I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Tank, I want to thank you for having me tonight, anytime. And if you need anything, I'm always right here.
It was an honor today to have you here as my guest, and I really appreciate you, Captain Joe. Guys, if you're not doing anything when he goes live, go on over, because I intend to. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it. It's a wrap.